Hello there. Thank you for joining us on the midweek edition of Journalist Hangout today. I'm Kemi Fola Adeyemo, and on the program at this time, Supreme Court shot as JUSUN locks out staff members, lawyers and litigants from courts demand financial autonomy. Later on the show, stakeholders demand renewed onslaught against criminals as Baba replaces Adamu as IGP. I'll be hanging out with Olayinka Oyegbile and Emeka Madunagu. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.
So if you're ready, Journalist Hangout starts now. The ongoing strike by members of the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, JUSUN, intensifies. The Supreme Court of Nigeria has now been shut down and staff members as well as lawyers and litigants locked out. JUSUN is demanding financial autonomy for the judiciary in compliance with the Nigerian Constitution and a judgment by the Federal High Court affirming the relevant constitutional provisions in a January 2014 judgment. So the fight rages on, gentlemen, and this is how we begin the program this evening. We might even begin by looking at the defiance of JUSUN in this particular edition of industrial action in the history of the courts, as a defiance on the part of JUSUN despite the intervention by the CJN and the NBA. How do you like to begin on this note, Mr. Oyegbile?
Well, the truth of the matter is that as far as it stands, what the workers are fighting for is not so much at the federal level, because to some extent, at the federal level, it has been complied with.
Yes.
What they are fighting for is at the state level. But they know that if they don't involve the federal court workers, it will not work. That is why it is going the way it is. And earlier today, the Chief Justice said he may not be able to intervene.
Yes.
Why? Because if he intervenes, that means he will have to call all the governors. And calling all the governors will open him up to some demand.
Yes, IOU.
Exactly. Because the Chief Justice will be reminded that, my Chief Justice, the other time you called me, I did this for you. Why don't you do it for me? It kind of rub my back, I rub your back.
Course.
That is why the Chief Justice of the Federation is saying that he doesn't want to intervene. Well, the non-compliance with the the court ruling, are you surprised? That is the same thing we do in Nigeria. One court defies the other court. A court worker defies the court. So it is nothing new. It is just going according to what has always been the impunity that is writ large everywhere in our country today. Because the judiciary workers will not want to listen to themselves. All they are asking for is for this autonomy to be granted at the state level to all courts. How far they will be able to go is what we are going to be talking about now. Because if you look at it, the way the country is structured, and this is what many people don't want to hear. Yes, we are outside the corridors of power now. We are talking of restructuring. Tomorrow we get into the corridors of power, we sing a new tune. That is the problem with Nigeria.
Yes.
Every man talks about restructuring. But immediately it gets there, perhaps there are some things that are there that we don't see as outsiders, which perhaps if they have explained to us, we may be able to understand, or the general public may understand. But the truth of it, if they don't do this, the governors, courts have ruled that local government funds should be given directly to local governments. The president said he was going to do it. He has not done it because the governors have untwisted him. It's the same thing that is going on with the judiciary. So as long as we don't give ourselves, or we are not truthful in all our talks, we'll continue to go this route.
Especially as on Tuesday, after the Easter vacation, we woke up and the day progressed with news of relevant sectors, the lecturers going on strike in the polytechnics, the medical doctors also, and now the JUSUN not deterred. But Mr. Madunago, now we see in Osun State, as of course this strike takes full effect, from the Supreme Court, it trickled down to the lower courts. The magistrate court wasn't left out, except in the lone state of Ebonyi, where we understand that courts resumed in spite of the national enforcement. But we see in Osun State that the AG of the state, Femi Akode, that's his name, is saying that the state is ready for talks with JUSUN members. But the question now is, what kind of negotiations are we looking at? It's been established that states are largely to blame for this imbroglio we are still recording on the issue of financial autonomy in the judiciary. But what will be the basis for negotiation?
That's what I'm even asking, because I tell you, the governors have become a major problem in this country. The same governors that will tell you they can't work, they can't take full charge of security in their states because they are chief security officers on paper, are the same governors that can muster security agents to deal with their opponents, to demolish people's houses, to throw people, to demolish settlements, to do all kinds of things. When they want to hold political rallies, they can muster enough soldiers and security men. But when it comes to kind of the basic function of the state, which is to ensure the security and well-being of the people, the governors suddenly become helpless. You see, it is the unfortunate situation of our skewed federalism that we have a federal system that controls everything, that affects everything, even including citing primary school in your village, citing boreholes in my village, doing everything. So the governors are just having a very merry party. Responsibilities that they are supposed to take on, such as this, are being papered over. And so you don't blame the workers, because why are the governors against financial autonomy for the judiciary and for the legislature? Because they want to be dictators in their states. But we are practicing democracy. We are practicing constitutionalism. Yet the governors are not ready to respect every effort. That, remember, the court has ruled, the Federal High Court has ruled. President Muhammadu Buhari signed an executive order. It was to be gazetted. The governors flew to Abuja to meet with him. No, don't gazette it. All right, we will discuss. And if you remember, some time back, the vice chairman of the Governors Forum, the Sokoto State Governor, Aminu Tambuwal, he came out to tell journalists that, yes, we're in talks.
The
we are discussing. It was just meant to buy time. Then later, was it not Fayemi, the chairman of the Governors Forum, came out to say, no, that it can't be implemented. He just basically engaged in sophistry. He just spoke very nice words without saying anything. He said nothing. If you go through everything Fayemi said that time, there was nothing in it. And so you see an unfortunate situation where the same governors who keep saying, oh, this is this, who keep engaging in pretentious lamentation, the same governors are not ready to allow development in their states, except as dictated by them. And why will the courts not be shut? Why would doctors not go on strike? Why would polytechnic lecturers not go on strike? We've been talking about reviewing the revenue allocation for many years. But certain interests still want it to be like that. The governors will come out to tell you, yes, they want more from the, from the federation account. But the question is, how accountable have you been for the allocation you have been receiving? for the allocations you are receiving. How accountable are you? They cannot run away from this because they must accede to the demands of the workers. You cannot keep the legislature and the judiciary in your pocket. There's separation of powers. There is separation of power. There's no amount of sophistry that anybody can employ to try to hoodwink Nigerians. Nigerians have grown wiser. You have to sit down with the workers and see what can be done. Because I believe Buhari took that step to about signing the executive order out of frustration. How can you emasculate an entire arm of government? I mean, a former governor, there was a time he visited a court. He visited the judicial arm of the state. He had some interactions with them. Right. And he was quoted as saying that the judiciary should not ever think of autonomy. That it's not your business to be thinking of buying cars. And, that was how he trivialized it. I don't want to mention his name, but I was surprised that somebody whom a lot of people spoke well about could be so unfortunately ignorant about the workings of democracy, a beneficiary of democracy, now trying to turn constitutionalism on his head. And of course, these people have gone on strike. Let me tell you, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, with due respect to him, is only trying to run around the issue. He is the head of the judiciary in Nigeria, just like the Senate President is the chairman of the legislature. He's the chairman of the legislature. And he has influence, immense influence on legislative matters.
Because it has even been suggested that the CJN should be able to take this matter, head on, going up to the National Assembly and tabling it before them to get perhaps a more concise conclusion on the matter.
There's nothing in the National Assembly. It is there in the Constitution.
It has already
been there in the Constitution.
It is about the governors are the stumbling block.
Absolutely. And JUSUN has said as much, but where the Constitution in combination with Executive Order number 10, are already there to give full back into okay, fine, and there's even a Federal High Court judgment. There's also that. So why are we now having this standoff? But okay, that on the side, as laudable as this strike is now, according to those who hailed it, there is also the tricky issue of the timing. Of course, this has also reverberated across various other industrial actions where people look at the impact. Of course, the government is losing revenue at this point now while the courts remain closed. But what about the masses? What about the lawyers who depend on the courts for their livelihoods?
See, the first question we should ask ourselves is the government worried? I don't think so. The actions of those who should know or who should act is not showing that they understand what is going on. Doctors are on strike. Polytechnic lecturers are on strike. ASU may soon may soon go back on strike.
Tanker drivers keep giving
and everything is going on as if there's nothing.
Let's pause the discussions on this desk now for now and introduce our very first caller. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening, gentlemen and ladies.
Yeah, good evening.
My name is Kenko Kesan Kingsley. I come from Imo State.
You're welcome,
The issue of striking has become an embarrassment to this country. It is quite unfortunate that even our president is away in London receiving one of the best medical care, whereas resident doctors are here on strike. Our politicians, governors in particular, are enjoying, whereas House of Assembly staff are on strike, judiciary staff are on strike. ASU joined. ASU is going to join any moment from now. You see, the truth about it is that our politicians do not care about our welfare. All these governors on monthly basis, daily basis, they pocket their money. They do not care. Our various states are in a very moribund situation. It is quite unfortunate. The security state is something terrible. but they don't care about our welfare. Somebody will be sacrificing on a daily basis, coming to work. He or she has children. He has responsibilities to care for. You do not care. You play.
All right, thank you so much, Kingsley, for saying that piece. Back to the studio now.
As I was saying, those in government don't seem to show that they understand or they care. I mean, everything across the country seems to be falling apart. And everybody sits pretty in Abuja thinking all is well, that they are on strike. They will soon call it off. One character came on TV the other day and was saying that they will sack all of them and do all that. Is that how to talk to? Look, the chairman of the president of the National Resident Doctors Association just said something this afternoon, that they get 5,000 naira monthly as hazard allowance. Put that side by side. A senator gets 1.24 million naira a month to buy newspapers. How many newspapers do we have in Nigeria? That a senator gets 1.24 million to buy newspapers. If we have, I'm not very good in mathematics, I always confess that. The cover price of a newspaper today, I think the costless is about 300 naira.
300, yeah.
Weekend is about 400 or 500. Okay. Now, if a senator buys 300, there are about 10, 15 viable newspapers. Buy 15 newspapers on a daily basis, which they don't buy. Now he has all that, 1.24 million. For what? And these are people who hardly even read newspapers. When you see them talking on the floor of the Senate or the House of Reps, you feel ashamed.
Ignorance.
Someone wants to talk about a
bill,
and is reading it. He begins to read, and even in reading it, he's stuttering. What kind of people do we have there? And all these people get 124 million, and a man or a woman who trains for nothing less than 8 years to become a medical doctor, you give him 5,000 naira in a month as hazard allowance. How do we do all that?
All right, let's introduce Femi from Lagos here. Good evening to you. Please join
Hello,
the conversation.
Good evening to your colleague there.
Good evening.
Carry on, please.
I want maybe one of you people there could enlighten me, or maybe the audience will also enlighten me. Who decides how much goes to the judiciary? Before we start talking of independence of the judiciary. The judiciary is supposed to be independent. I agree with that. But who will decide how much goes to the judiciary? Thank you.
Thank you.
Currently, at the federal level, the executive, legislature, and the judiciary are on first line charge. So they prepare their budget.
At the federal
level. But at the state level, everybody is, the allocations are based on the whims and caprices of the governor.
So you prepare your budgets if you are the head of the court in a state.
It's not a first line charge. Yes, and you're forward. It's not a first line charge. Meanwhile, it's supposed to be a first line charge. It should be there.
And that was the crux of the president's order.
Yeah, the president, so that there will be independence. So that judges will not have to be under pressure to deliver judgments that are embarrassing, that are ridiculous. So that we don't have to start sending, so that government doesn't have to send security agents to raid judges' quarters, at midnight.
And that is why we see across states now, governors issuing out or handing out gifts, cash gifts.
That is part of the embarrassment.
Which day has legislators been lined up and governor presenting cars to them? Has it ever happened? But you line up judges and hand over cars to them as if you are handing cars over to some low-level civil servant. It is demeaning. All this, as he has said, should be what should be done straight from first line charge or whatever charge they call it. When we have a saying in the newsroom: "He who pays the piper dictates the
Calls
tune."
the tune, yes.
If the governor line up judges and gives them cards, a judge gives a judgment that is wrong-sided the governor one day, he can withdraw the car. He can ask him or her to vacate the residence.
Look at what's happening in Cross River.
Exactly.
Magistrates not paid. I mean, magistrates having to parade the streets with their children, demanding their just pay. And the state governor is, justifying.
Have we ever had House of Assembly members or National Assembly members going on strike for not being paid? No. So as long as we continue to treat the important aspect of our life with some shoddy hands, these are the kind of things we are going to be getting.
You said earlier on that because it seems like we need to strike a balance now, or we need to have a better understanding on the position of the governors. If an average governor would say, let's do the thinking for you, focus on delivering credible judgments and decisions and leave the finances now to us, as against the call for an independent judiciary that will deliver judgments without, because it's the state government that is paying my salaries and I have to dance to their tunes, as you know, is the worry across board. Then
put it side by side with why should governors now be chief security officers of their states? The brigade commanders in their states report to the chief of army staff. Okay. The commissioners of police report to the inspector general of police. And on and on and on and on and on. Even the sector commanders of road safety report to the chairman of the Federal Road Safety Commission. Yeah. So what are they securing? You understand? They give cars, they give operational vehicles to security agencies instead of. Why are they not supposed to route it through the Inspector General of Police? Okay, let me put you on hold again and bring in our third caller at this time. Ola from Texas in the United States. You're welcome to the program.
Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen in the studio.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, so I would like to contribute my own share of what is going on. Well, number one thing is that we all know that the government doesn't care about us. And my two gentlemen up there, and maybe particularly you, the moderator, you know that we have unqualified people ruling us. And my uncle in native attire just said it just now. The truth is, if people like you that know about how to make that country work do not see fit to take up this position that those illiterates in the House and the presidency and everything is doing, we're not going to go forward. You can complain from today to tomorrow. Nothing is going to happen. So, it is a responsibility of not just to talk, but also to go out there and participate. Otherwise, nothing will happen.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for the good work you are doing, and God bless you.
Thank you very much.
What I was, trying to say is that, you see, the governors ought to know that it's not just every arm has a service commission. Yeah. You have the Judicial Service Commission, you have the Legislative Service Commission, you have the Federal Civil Service Commission. All of this as part of the Federal Civil, part of the civil service, structure in every state. So, you see, when we talk about states, even being unable to pay minimum wage and all of that, you see, governors should realize that areas of wastage, areas of leakages and all that need to be blocked. They need to be looked into. And then again, how do you do this? You must put heads together. The heads of the various service commissions must put heads together to get these things working perfectly. Otherwise, when a governor decides on his own, okay, I'm going to buy, maybe based on the recommendation of the Commissioner for Justice, he decides, okay, I'm going to buy cars for judges. And judges don't have air conditioning in their offices. Courtrooms are not well lit. Sometimes when it rains, courtrooms are flooded. You go to some courtrooms, you weep. The ceilings are torn.
We're still in
the
and
it's like you are back to the colonial era.
Indeed.
So you are giving judges beautiful cars, but they don't have the appropriate working environment. The people working for them have to carry so many files.
Absolutely.
So as a litigant, you go through, you have to search and search the court, you have to search and search. A lot of work is done manually. And this is the 21st century. The governor, we should not even be talking about autonomy. We should actually be talking about modernizing, upgrading the structure to international best practices.
I like to believe, though, that this battle for financial autonomy will,
yes,
fully,
the judiciary will know what their needs are.
Yeah.
Not
They will
just
know
for
what their
the
needs
judicial
are.
officers, not just for the bench, but even those support staff now who
Yes.
give the needed services to the judges.
Yes.
Well, we have to rest the conversation at this point and take a break to return on Journalist Hangout, where we have more on the program. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us on TVC News as we continue on the program Journalist Hangout. Well, so with rising attacks in various parts of Nigeria and kidnappers running rampage, stakeholders are now calling for renewed onslaught against the criminals, especially now that there is a new Inspector General of Police. They want the new IGP, Usman Baba, to put on his thinking cap and urgently address insecurity ravaging the country. Well, gentlemen, the nature of the appointment of IGP Baba also, made the news, especially as the erstwhile IGP, or the former IGP, as you'd like to put it, Mohammed Adamu. We saw him on visit to Imo State in the wake of the attacks on key installations. What strikes you the most about this latest happenings?
Honestly, if you ask me if I'm going to say my mind, it's going to be, well, it is the same lackadaisical attitude that has taken, taken the forefront in our country. The IG, or the former IG, was in Imo State on official trip, I suppose. And while there in Abuja, you are announcing his replacement. Was it that he never took clearance before he followed the vice president, or he went on his own to Imo State? Rather than embarrass him and tell him that, oh, it's better you don't go, await further instruction, you allowed him to leave Abuja in mid-air or right there while he was busy talking to the troop or to the police people and inspecting. You announced a replacement. What slap is greater than that? I mean, it makes you feel that, well, anything can happen anytime. Although, while we were discussing it this afternoon, a colleague told me that how was he also appointed? So it is a case of the Yoruba will say the cane that we used to build the first wife is there at the back of the door for the second wife. We are no longer under a military system. And we must get all those who take decisions must get this very clear. It is either the decision was taken on the wave of the thumb, or honestly, I'm so embarrassed. I don't even know what to say. I don't know how the man himself will have felt. This was the same man. A few months back, you gave 3 months extension. He's just on the second month. If you are not satisfied with him, it's either you allow him to come back from Imo State, or you don't allow him to go at all. But who made the decision? Was the decision taken by the president before he left for the UK? Or the president from the UK called and said this should be done?
All right. Well, that said, and let me also, take some pointers from your assessment of the issue. Emeka, notable lawyers, Michael Zekume, Professor Chidi Odikalu, have also looked at the manner in which IGP Baba was, entered the scene. Now, the recently amended Police Act,
yes,
mandates the president to appoint a new IGP on the advice of the police council. Yeah. There is no mention of the police minister. And we see the police minister, Mitagari, speaking about the president's decision yesterday, addressing press. And he even went on to say that the president has the powers to extend and to appoint. It's not for people now to ask why didn't the president wait until the expiration of 3 months extension given to Adamu, Mr. Adamu, before bringing in Mr. Baba.
I suspect that the hasty decision was taken to avoid scoring an own goal. The suits instituted by Nigerian Bar Association, judgment was about to be delivered. It's about to be delivered in a number of days. So, and the government would have been, due respect to the judge handling the case, but I believe that the court would have really dealt with the government because you don't allow impunity to fester. The man has retired, let him go. You create instability. You disorganize the system. When you keep people beyond their tenure, nobody is indispensable. He was supposed to have gone, and you put somebody else. The system provides for regular training for officers and the rank and file. So if you can't find a suitable replacement, then the man has to be, arrested immediately and interrogated. What happened to funds for the training of senior officers? That you can't find somebody, because the Police Act says that the Inspector General of Police must be taken from the police force. So why can't you find somebody capable? What have you been doing there? You've been busy running all over the place without ensuring that the system, works smoothly. Then you have questions to answer. So that said, coming to the issue of Baba, acting IGP Baba, the Nigeria Police Council, has not sat. Because the president is out of the country. But I think that can be remedied when the president gets in. I think he's expected back at sometime next week. When he gets in, and definitely they can hold a meeting to ratify his appointment. You've seen the explanation of the Minister of Police Affairs about how the man was chosen. But the question is this: why does this government like creating own goals for itself? Why does it like scoring own goals, repeatedly, embarrassing itself? Why? Why does it seem as if there are certain people who are so wonderful that when they retire, instead of allowing them to go home, you still hold on to them?
Okay. That said, let's hear Olushola's piece joining us from your state. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, gentlemen and ladies in the house. Now, honestly, let us be frank with ourselves. Bogota is not even appointing the ID for any part of the country. But what I want is that President and his handlers to get for us as Nigerians is that he should make sure he gives it needful, make it necessary that us work for the IT to be able to work. And
Olushola, I'm afraid we couldn't pick out the points you were making. The audio quality was really quite distorted. Maybe you'll try to reconnect and let's hear you more clearly. Well, Nigerians are already assessing the performance and or the basis for this quote-unquote, this sudden removal of Mr. Adamu. They're assessing what could have been the reasons and using it as a thrust now for the IGP-ship now of the of Mr. Baba. So what do you make of it? For you, what could have been, the biggest slight now on the leadership, the police leadership of Mr. Adamu? Some have said talked about the unprecedented attacks on police installations during the spate of his reign.
Well, Honestly, I don't think that counted for anything. Because if it did, his tenure would not have been extended. Why do you extend his tenure when there is a laid-down rule and laid-down system? There are DIGs, there are AIGs that could have succeeded
been
him.
enacting.
Exactly. What the Baba that was named yesterday is still acting. Why is it that 2 months ago, when Adamu's tenure expired, we thought they were going to bring someone that is super out of this world? Why bring Baba? What I mean by that is, if it was Baba that would be there, why did you have to wait?
System.
Why did you have to wait for 2 months? This kind of thing gives room for sabotage, because there are those who are behind who thought that when he goes, they will get there, or somebody will get. I mean, it's in hierarchy that when Adamu goes, if Baba comes in, maybe Joke will come tomorrow, whatever will come next tomorrow. But you have a system where we don't even have a system. That is just it. So it goes in such a way that people, rather than give their best, they will just do whatever they can do and say, well, whatever Bafo say, excuse my Yoruba. It's still the same thing that will happen. That whether we do it with all our effort and we give it all our best, it is the same thing that will happen. Therefore, they won't put in their best. That is exactly what is happening. I suspect that there might be even issue of sabotage in all this.
Sabotage where?
When people who are behind, who think that it should be their turn, and you decide to extend the tenure of the man that is supposed to have gone. Those who are behind will say, okay, Shebi is the one that knows how to do it, and let us see him do it. And such things, these are the result of what we are seeing everywhere.
So acting or not, taking it from the tail end of Mr. Oyegbile's assessment of the situation, well, acting or not, so we have a new helmsman in the saddle, and his work is cut out for him. We are still we haven't yet gotten to the root of the Imo attacks, and several other questionable instances, so several other attacks across the country, talking about the state of insecurity at the moment.
Let me tell you this thing. We just have, we're just depending on the moral fiber of individuals to stop them from going into crime. There's hardly anything that bars the average Nigerian from going into crime, because our leaders are not showing good example. A lot of things are wrong with the system. The system is broken. The social fabric is broken. Then you have different levels of criminality, different groups, gangs, and all kinds of things happening, different names, And you also see politicians patronizing hoodlums, patronizing thugs. And at the end of every election season, these people are abandoned. You've left them with weapons, and of course they go into the streets with these weapons, forming all kinds of groups to take on the hapless people, in the hapless citizens in the society. So you see, I think Baba should not look at acting IGP Baba, should not adopt the idea of seeing every problem as a nail, and then using it, and then having to look for hammers and sledgehammers. He will end up like his predecessors. You know why? Because you need to really define what is amiss. Like one of my friends says, he says, if there is a problem in the body, you look for what is the cause, what is behind it, what is triggering that problem, and then you remove it. Then you talk of ameliorating the situation. But if you don't remove it, if you don't remove the incentive for crime, if you don't remove the fact that people are disenchanted and then they can easily be recruited into criminal schemes, then the feeling of exclusion in the country, a lot of things, and a lot of things are not well set. So people have this idea that, yes, we can take to arms. When people are frustrated, they feel they can take to arms. And wait, the politicians are well guarded. Their homes are well guarded. They move about in armed convoys. So we take on the, ordinary people, the defenseless people, soft targets. That is why you have different kinds of descriptions. You now have criminals taking over the highways because they feel that, yes, they cannot get to the politicians. Okay, let's wait for the ordinary people on the road. And then we snatch their bags, we snatch their cars, we attack them, we kidnap them, we kill them, all kinds of things. And it's the ordinary people who bear the brunt of this. You see the 39 students of the forestry school in Kaduna, it's only 5 have returned. When were they kidnapped? Can you see? And the state government is just saying it will not negotiate with bandits and all that, virtually abandoning the students and their parents. One of the parents has died. So you need to look at the root cause. What is the problem? But if you come and say, okay, you want to pump policemen to go and fight, let me tell you, you see, crime has become so sophisticated in Nigeria that the level of weaponry in the hands of criminals is unprecedented in the history of this nation.
All right. So that is one very crucial area that the acting IGP needs to look out. How about tackling the issue of attacks on police officers themselves? We already have an issue of under-policing in Nigeria, about 400,000 police officers. The NSAS panels are still sitting across the country, and we are hearing of, so many alleged atrocities. Some petitions have already been established, that the police outrightly were out of line. But looking at the happenings of October 2021 last year, IGP Adamu, as he then was then, said that about 20 police officers were killed. About 200 or more than 200 police installations were also attacked. How does the new police boss now deal with that?
The way to deal with it is to have an efficient police system. And how do you have an efficient police system? They must be well trained and be able to investigate. And also, there must be punishment for anyone who takes on a policeman or a military man, who kill the bandits or the criminals. While we were growing up, when we were reading all those novels, James Alice and the rest of them,
Sherlock Holmes,
one cardinal point you learn from there is that no criminal ever kills a uniformed person. Why? Because if you kill a uniformed person, they are going to smoke you out. But in Nigeria, does that happen? That is why you see policemen and military men are being killed every day. Because when they are killed, the government must think the way other governments in the world think. When you take down a uniformed man, you have taken down the law, and you must pay for it. But in this place, armed robbers kill policemen, and we will get down to the root of the matter. They will never get down to it. They will kill a military man, we will get down to the root of the matter. They will never get down to it. If you don't kill, if you don't punish, if you don't find out those who kill your uniformed men, how are you going to care about civilians? Because these are people, a policeman is the state. He represents the state. But we have so debased the police people, we have so debased the army, they have debased themselves too. That a policeman, a military man doesn't count for nothing in the eye of the
They've debased themselves, but some would also argue that the system,
everything combined.
Why
It is a combined thing.
Why would you turn policemen to houseboys carrying bags for politicians and their wives? Why?
If we do, and I see a situation, what happened in Imo? is a precursor of other things that will happen. When brigands take down your police headquarters. And nothing happened.
Out of at least 1,800 prisoners, that escaped,
Even
we hear of only about 40. I get the point. I understand where you're heading.
But for you, look, let a single policeman or let a single idiot, let a single brigand go to a police station in UK or in the US and vandalize the place and see what will happen. But in Nigeria it happens and nobody cares. The Inspector General doesn't, the police commissioners, and look, what we are doing is that we are going to the option state where everything with the law will just break down and nothing will happen again. I'm afraid the way this country is going, people, you might think that yes, you are in Lagos or you are in your house, everything is safe. It is gradually the nose of the what do they call it now? It gets into the yard small, bit by bit. When that is what is happening.
All right.
It is like the rat nibbling at your feet.
A gradual process.
Gradually. And this is what is happening. Law and order is breaking down, and those who are in authority seem not to care because they are well guarded. It is not that way. They must protect us.
Right. And Emeka, where do you stand in the resurfacing debates that why are we still centralizing police operations? Looking at the challenges of maintaining law and order, fears linger as to the way things degenerated in the aftermath of the NSAS protests. How brazen and lawlessness were taken to new heights, unheard of heights, and now see the Imo scenario that we are seeing playing before our very eyes. So where do you stand in this call for
I've said it again on this table,
force?
I've said it on different fora, that we must restructure the system, and the restructuring should affect policing in Nigeria. State police, community policing, county policing should be instituted. And then again, where you say you have 375,000 policemen, and then out of that number, almost half are at the service of politicians and all kinds of people, their cronies and friends. How do you expect effective policing? I think government should create a special agency to provide security for people. If you want such services, you can go and pay, you can go and discuss with them.
The private guards,
defense, what do they call
civil
it?
defense.
Civil
defense. I mean, vandalism of oil pipelines has gone down. So why not draft them into some of these duties so that you free the police, to face its primary duty. But a situation where I saw a convoy today somewhere in Lagos, more than 8 vehicles, comprising policemen and SSS, DSS, guarding just one person. When you put all those resources at disposal of one person, and then you had me and so many millions of Nigerians without such luxury of protection, how do you police the society? That is one. Secondly, like I heard somewhere today, we may need to create special courts to deal with issues like banditry. It should not be just the regular thing. You take them to court, you take suspects to court, and then okay, you grant them, and the process will drag and drag and drag. The IPO, the IPO gets transferred, the prosecutor gets transferred, maybe the judge gets transferred, and along the line you lose the paper trail, and nothing comes out of it. There should be special courts, and there should be certain offenses should be graded as priority, top priority. And within a period, maybe 3 months maximum, they should be dealt with. They should be dealt with. So that, you see, just like my colleague said, you must make the law have bite. The law must be seen not to be just backing, but biting. And the law should not just bite a few people, should bite also those people who aid and abet criminality.
Sponsors.
And then again, you must look at the fact that why are there so many unemployed Nigerians? I was discussing with a young lady some days ago, somebody who went to school in Nigeria and also school abroad, and she said she's frustrated. She's tired because no job for 5 years after leaving, schooling abroad, coming back to Nigeria, no job. So many Nigerians are helpless. So many Nigerians are frustrated. Government should do something. You must provide skills, train Nigerians. You must make sure that you can remove as many people as possible from that idle pool. Move around Lagos and see so many idle people as we corner. You have to find a way to get these people engaged.
Point taken. Well,
yes.
We are running out of time, but I just want to make a brief mention now of one of the achievements, on record during the tenure of IGP Adamu. 99.1 Nigeria Police FM. People have said, okay, what exactly is this station, offering to Nigerians? Would it be for the police to reach out to the public and for the public to reach out? Could this be a solution to the lingering security challenges? What do you make of this?
Well, just like the traffic radio in Lagos has helped to reduce or let people know about traffic situation.
Management of traffic.
Yeah, I think, but the station is only available in Abuja now. I'm not sure it's already in Lagos. Well, if they concentrate on it and they do what they are supposed to do and don't allow that to take them away from their core responsibility of securing the nation, it's a good one.
So be it. All right, gentlemen. I must thank you very much for your contributions on the program today. Emeka Madunago and Olaika Oyegbile.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the robust conversations today. That's all on Journalist Hangout. Join us again tomorrow for another episode of the program. Remember, you can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. And don't forget to join Journalist Hangout on Sunday, where we have a full package from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much for the contributions from callers who made it through despite the hurdles. I'm Kemi Fola Adeyemo. Bye for now and God bless Nigeria.